and fulfills destiny as well, was told me and a decade ago, and to see the Student Center come alive. This morning, before we go to Sir Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA, remember it's got to do with John 3:21, according to the Biblia or Bible. Those who live truthfully do the truths come into the light, revealing that the actions are done in God's presence and with His help, in contrast to those who hide in darkness due to their, fill the gap. So a while ago, we took and listened to Trebriwa, who told us everything manifesting spirit. Remember, trebriwa.com. Just go there, propheticnumbers.com, and get to know how things are taking shape, and then all of that as well. Because today, when you travel around the globe, we have an international play day today, a lot more stuff as well, like the Mariachi Day and a couple of other ones as well. When you take a close shot of the other experiences, particularly, it's about the continuity of the 2026 World Economic Forum. As a result of a few things we happen to be encountering here, we sincerely apologize to you that we aren't currently, based on the schooling I've gotten from my technical team, we aren't on air. However, we are online. So to glean a lot more, kindly go to Facebook, Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM, Radio Windy Bay 98.3 FM. Our team, internally and externally, are working around the clock, so we get to come back on air in the coming minutes, an hour or two. We're trusting God for that very divine rescue. So on that score, I say many thanks from the north, from the south, from the east and west. All protocol observed. The executive producer for this one is Collins Kofi Ewuku. And do you know today is Thank Your Mentor Day? Collins Kofi Ewuku is my mentor, my principal mentor, beyond the man who made me take that leap of faith. I was in the classroom teaching and learning. He passed on the 18th of January, a couple of years ago, somewhere in London. Started broadcast journalism at the back of a motorbike, believe you me. Komla Afeke Dumo. This is a little I would want to do in your illustrious memory, even as you join the great of the ages. Yes, you go to YouTube and glean the production, telling the African story, I get to understand that a man once lived. The boss player, Komla Afeke Dumo, and our current president, I recall during his first term, I mentioned something with our politics first time this morning. Komla Dumo was a gift from Ghana to the entirety of the world. Are you doing your gift? Steve Harvey told me everybody came into the world with a gift. Are you doing your gift? I'll leave it there. And like I mentioned, sincere apologies to our discerning audience, particularly those on radio, because we had billed ourselves for an exclusive interview with one of our own from the School of Business, tied to the ongoing World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. But whatever the case, insofar as we come back on air, we surely would have that wrapped up as well. Because do I say by destiny? We have over 50 countries in Africa, right? But Africa is having Ghana to make a special presentation at the Global Forum, at the World Economic Forum. And these things don't come by fluke. Like my good friend Vusi Sembekwa, who became world champion in terms of public speaking from South Africa, I would say, it is by grace. These things are not rocket science or something. It is by grace. Ghana is just chosen for a time like this to fulfill purpose and destiny. Not to prolong our introduction, once again, to the executive producer, thanking our Mentors Day. I'm thanking you, Sir Collins Kofi Ewuku, for how you have tutored me every step of the way to this point in life. And I know there is a lot more still in the womb of time, according to I Am That I Am, Elohim. Now let's go to the radio lecture series. We already have in the studio Mr. Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA. That's Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA from the Department of Educational Foundation, School of Education and Lifelong Learning, UW. So for you level 200 students who studying the course, we're studying the course EDC 232, Principles and Practice of Teaching. And the topic today is teaching as a profession. My God, that is why I came to the studio with multiple notepads. And my pen is actually red. I came with an additional one as well. That's a pencil. Teaching as a profession. By the close of this lecture, I get to know that it is worth finding yourself in the teaching and learning enterprise. If it hadn't been that, I'm not going to give everything away. Right, sure, don't tell. One of the things I got from my mentor, Sir Collins Kofi. So without much ado, let me say special good morning to you.
Good morning,
Sir Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA.
Good morning.
Second time for the week, right?
Sure.
A pleasure.
Yes, I was here one day.
All yours. All yours. Happy to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a very good morning to cherished listeners, more especially to our level 200 students reading EDC 232, Principles and Practice of Teaching. Right. Our topic for discussion this morning is teaching as a profession. Or to put it in a question form, we can say that, we can ask, is teaching a profession? This is an important question, particularly in societies where the status, recognition, and conditions of teachers are matters of public debate. Many people use the terms job, occupation, vocation, and profession interchangeably. However, in academic and professional discourse, these concepts have distinct meanings. And our task today is to clarify what a profession is and to critically examine whether teaching meets the criteria of a profession, and relate that to Ghana. Is teaching a profession in Ghana? But that one will be your own aspects to look at. So by the end of this lecture, you should be able to define the concepts of a profession using scholarly perspectives. 2, identify the key characteristics of a profession. 3, assess teaching against these characteristics and reach a reasoned conclusion on whether teaching is a profession. So we set the ball rolling by asking what a profession is. Some scholarly definitions are given as follows. When we look at Greenwood, in sociology and education, a profession is not just any form of paid work. Greenwood stated this in his classic work, Attributes of a Profession. And per that, Greenwood defines a profession as an occupation based upon specialized intellectual training, the purpose of which is to supply skilled service to society. Similarly, we have Hoyle and John, who describe a profession as an occupation that, 1, requires extensive formal education, is regulated by professional standards, is guided by a code of ethics, and is committed to service rather than mere profits or salaries, maybe. And from these and other scholarly works, we can identify core attributes that distinguish a profession from other forms of work. So we shall take a look at the key characteristics or the key features of a profession. And I'm going to itemize them and we take a brief look at each of them. First, we can talk of a specialized body of knowledge. 2, formal professional training. 3, certification and regulation. 4, code of ethics. 5, professional autonomy and judgment. 6, service orientation. And 7, but not the least, is continuous professional development. So we have these special or key characteristics of a profession. Now, talking about special body of knowledge, A profession is grounded in a systematic and theoretical body of knowledge that is continuously developed through research and scholarship. So we see a particular, or we identify a particular occupation or a job or work if people working in it have gained knowledge and continue to gain knowledge and develop themselves through research and scholarship, that occupation continue or can be identified as a profession. Secondly, we talk of that occupation having formal professional training for its workers. Entry into a profession actually requires prolonged education and training in recognized institutions, often at the tertiary levels. We talk about certification and regulation. Professions are regulated by professional or statutory bodies that control entry, that control licensing, and look at the discipline of members in that occupation. We have code of ethics. Code of ethics. Members are guided by ethical principles that govern conduct and protect the public interest. Another characteristic, maybe the fifth one, is about the fact that there should be professional autonomy and judgment. Practitioners exercise informed judgment rather than merely following routine instructions. There is service orientation. A profession exists basically or primarily to serve society. Financial reward is important but secondary to service. And we have the seventh point that states that there should be continuous professional development in that occupation that is identified as a profession. So professionals are expected to update their knowledge and skills through their careers. Classic examples often cited include, I'm talking of classic examples of those occupations we usually refer to as professions, to include medicine. We talk about law, we talk about engineering, we talk about accounting. But the critical question now is, does teaching satisfy these criteria? We mentioned 7 features. First, we talked about specialized body of knowledge. Second, we talked about formal professional training. We look at certification and regulation, code of ethics, professional autonomy and judgment, service orientation, and continuous professional development. So we come back to the question, does teaching satisfy these criteria? I think you and I are going to take a look at that before we can draw a conclusion to tell whether teaching is a profession or not. We look at teaching and specialized knowledge. We are here in UW and we know what teaching is all about. Teaching is actually built on a well-defined and expanding body of professional knowledge. Someone tried to identify some effective teaching aspects, that teaching requires subject matter knowledge. It also requires pedagogical knowledge. What about pedagogical content knowledge? Yes, you come into teaching and you must acquire that knowledge. We can also talk about knowledge of learners and learning, and then knowledge of curriculum and assessments. This demonstrates that teaching is not based on common sense or intuition alone, but on research-informed theory and practice. That's why in the lecture halls we discussed whether teaching is an art or a science, and we came to the conclusion that it is both.
This is Radio Windy Bay.
It's based on research-informed theory and practice. So per teaching as specialized knowledge, much as we go through or teaching requires that we should have some knowledge concerning the subject matter that we shall be handling, the approaches or the methods to use, talking about the pedagogical knowledge, the content knowledge of that course or subject, the knowledge of the people that we are interacting with, and knowledge of curriculum and assessment. We should judge it ourselves if teaching qualifies at this point to be a profession. Second, we talk about professional training of teachers. Professional training of teachers. Teachers in this country and elsewhere undergo formal and structured professional preparation in colleges of education and universities such as ours, University of Education, Winneba.
Windy Bay.
98.3 What we do includes
FM.
Educational foundations.
Radio Windy Bay.
We go through what educational foundations has prepared for us to go through in our training. We talk of psychology of learning. We have curriculum and instruction. We deal with assessment and evaluation. And not in the least, we talk of teaching practice or practicum, or what we call in our terms here as internship education. And all these align with what Hoyle and John 1995's assertion that professions require prolonged and specialized training. So we go through all these to produce a teacher. Thirdly, we can look at regulation and licensing. In many countries, including Ghana, teaching is regulated by statutory bodies such as the Teaching Council of Ghana and GTEC, where we have our own man, Professor Jinapol. Yes, they look at licensing teachers.
98.3 FM.
Those who have gotten their license, they know what they went through before gaining the license. We have sets of professional standards that we follow. The bodies have prepared teaching standards or Ghana Teachers Standards. I think we have that a book that is governing us. So we set professional standards, and these bodies also enforce code of ethics or code of conduct for teachers. The Teaching Council also oversees continuous professional development. And per this, UNESCO 2015 actually identifies professional regulation as a key marker of teachers' professional status. So if teaching in Ghana, we have a body that looks at our regulation and licensing, then we ask ourselves, do we or do we see teaching to qualify as a profession? Aside this,
98.
we can talk of code of
FM.
ethics and professional conduct. Teaching is governed by ethical principles, and these principles emphasize the welfare and rights of learners. It emphasizes professional integrity and also responsibility to parents, institutions, and society. That is about all stakeholders of education. Teaching is governed by ethical principles. And these ethical obligations distinguish teachers from unregulated workers and align teaching with other recognized professions, some of the professions that we earlier on mentioned. Another key thing or characteristic that we can look at is the professional autonomy and judgment when it comes to identifying teaching as a profession. Here we can say that teachers actually make professional decisions daily, and this will include selection of teaching strategies, classroom management approaches, assessment of learner progress. And in addition, we can talk about adaptation of instruction to diverse learner needs. And while institutional policies exist, teaching still requires a high level of professional judgment. Teaching as service to society. This is another aspect that we can consider looking at the key things that we have mentioned. Teaching is basically service-oriented, and the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, that is UNESCO 2015, describes teaching as central to human capital development, citizenship formation, social cohesion, and national development. This strong service mission places teaching firmly within the professional tradition. Looking at the 7th point, that is about continuous professional development. Teachers are required to engage in lifelong learning through in-service training, workshops, research, and reflective practice to maintain professional competence. Ongoing learning and professional growth are integral requirements of teaching practice. In our schools in recent times, every week there is a day set aside where teachers within a particular school will have to meet after classes or after closing to go through what we call PLC. Or is it PCL? PLC, yes. Professional Learning Community. To share ideas, to talk about their profession, and to see the way forward. So, in short, we have these arguments to make and to consider and to come to the conclusion as to whether teaching is a profession or not. Per the features of a profession, we identify that a profession should be, for a profession or for an occupation to be called a profession, there should be a specialized body of knowledge. And from what we have discussed, does teaching qualify for that? And I think your conclusion is right, just as mine.
98.
That occupation
FM.
should have formal professional training. In teaching, to enter into that profession, you go through prolonged education and training. Even coming to UW, you have to go through a 4-year program Yes, at the tertiary level.
98.3 FM.
And certification, yes, it is not the let's say associations or the bodies that give the certification, but the higher institution that gives the training gives the certification.
98.3
And the teaching
FM.
body has code of ethics where members are regulated. Members go through ethical principles and conduct themselves properly to protect the public interests. So we have all these conditions which, if we look at teaching in the country, Ghana, we qualify. Talking about the specialized knowledge, you go into a higher education of teaching and you go through subject matter knowledge, you acquire subject matter knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, content knowledge, knowledge of the person that you are going to teach. You talk about the curriculum and assessment. You go through all these to demonstrate that teaching is not based on just common sense, because people do say that everyone can teach, but that person who has gone through the prolonged training, has gone through research, and has gone through practice of teaching can do the teaching better than the others. And that also qualifies teaching in Ghana as a profession. Teachers undergo formal and structured professional preparation. The courses that we are reading, more especially from the School of Education and Lifelong Learning, we can talk of educational foundations, we can talk of psychology of learning, curriculum and instruction,
98.3
assessment and evaluation.
FM.
And we have another section that deals with the internship program to prepare teachers. So all these go to support the fact that if professions require prolonged and specialized training, then the way we train our teachers, it makes them professional by nature. There is a licensing body. When the university has produced the teacher, that teacher doesn't straight away go to the classroom to work. He ought to be given the permit, a license. And in Ghana, we give licenses to our teachers. The licenses are not actually given on silver platter. Yes, I think the body organizes some kind of test or examination for individual graduate teachers to go through. There are professional standards. Ghana teaching standards is there. The code of conduct for teachers is also available. And FM. You can send your WhatsApp messages or SMSs, and you can call in to the studio through the line 050 392 3158. 050 392 3158. We are waiting your calls and messages. Right, we were talking about what makes teaching in Ghana a profession. We have traveled through some of the aspects. We were talking about licensing and regulation, and we said yes, we have a body in Ghana that ensures that teachers, after having gone through their training or university education, they ought to go through a test or a short exam, and per that are given their licenses. The bodies also set professional standards for teachers, and they also ensure that the code of conduct is enforced. There are professional associations or recognized professional association for teachers, and they also do a lot to support the fact that teaching in Ghana is seen as a profession. And we have support coming from UNESCO that identifies professional regulation as a key marker of teachers' professional status. So if you qualify to be a profession, then of course that body should be properly regulated, and we qualify for that. Code of ethics and professional conduct, we look at the welfare and the rights of the people that we interact with, especially our students. Professionally, we qualify when it comes to professional integrity, and we also have a very cordial relationship or linkage with all stakeholders of our educational system. And these ethical obligations actually distinguish teachers from unregulated workers and align teaching with other recognized professions. We still at the studios. The studio line to call is 050 392 3158. Right. As some time passed, there used to be a debate where some knowledgeable persons saw teaching as a semi-profession. And it is important to acknowledge that some scholars such as Hoyle in 1974 once described teaching as a semi-profession. And this was due to limited autonomy, weak control over entry to the teaching service, and low professional status in some contexts. However, modern reforms such as licensing, professional standards, continuous professional development, these requirements have significantly strengthened teaching professional standing. So, by conclusion, I'll say that based on established scholarly criteria, teaching clearly qualifies as a profession because it possesses, one, a specialized knowledge base, two, formal professional training, ethical codes, regulatory frameworks, professional judgment, and a strong commitment to public service. Teaching is therefore not merely an occupation or a vocation, but a full profession, especially within contemporary educational systems. So by implication, recognizing teaching as a profession has important implications. First, teachers must uphold high ethical and professional standards. And governments and employers, teachers, I think our employers are the GAS or the Ministry of Education, maybe. So government and employers must provide
FM.
appropriate remuneration and working conditions for teachers. And society must accord teachers the respect given to other professions or other professionals. Continuous professional development must be taken seriously in our schools so that we can do away with some of the biases, some of the misconceptions that society
98.3
has about teachers.
FM.
So, by conclusion, I'll say thank you for listening to this radio lecture on teaching as a profession. It is my hope that this discussion has clarified key concepts and strengthened appreciation of teaching as a professional endeavor essential to national and global development. We've gotten some messages coming from our cherished listeners.
98.3 FM.
We have the last Silvanus
98.3 FM.
watching and listening from South Campus, French Department. Thank you for listening. We have Francis Hosu also making us aware that he joined the program. David Churcher, nice program. I'm certainly enjoying it. Yes, that is the professional teacher to be. Ohima Beauty, watching and listening live from North Campus Management Sciences Department. That's great. You know how to manage the time. Drip Lord, forgive me if I'm not able to pronounce the name so well. Drip Lord says, great job. Ma a champion Obed. I'm called Ma a champion Obed. Watching you live from South Campus, Department of Agricultural Science Education. That's great. Archie, keep listening to us on radio lectures. Ephraim Boating, Ephraim Boampong. My name is Ephraim Boampong, watching you from North Campus, from Department of Management Sciences. God bless you for your time. Thank you very much, and bless you too. Louis Atoila Erujam Kojo. And Louis says he's enjoying from Mathematics Education Department. Thank you so much. Adepa from Ajumaku. Oh, Adepa, it's great you are hearing us from that part of the campus, Ajumaku to be precise. Thank you very much. Always tune in to listen to our radio lectures.
98.3 FM.
Barakel Olga, Heaven from South Campus Friend Department. Well, I don't know where that heaven is. Maybe I'll have to be there one day. Right. So I'm thinking it's maybe hearing us from South Campus, something of that sort. Okay, that's great. And we have Stephen Afwakun Chumasi watching and listening from SPED Department. I think SPED, we are here in North Campus. Right. Empress B. Grace Mensah watching and listening live from Ajumaku Campus. Ogre, thank you for listening to us. Anytime you are already listening, call your friends also to join the listen so that you share the knowledge. Gusto Trudy P. from Department of Applied Linguistics, thanks for the education. New Zealand Akos Ahiatoga watching from South Campus. That's great. Closer to the sea, enjoying the breeze and listening. That's very fine. Friend Department, we have New Zealand Akos Ahiatoga. Right, Ako, thank you for the second message. We still at Radio Windy Bay 050-392-3158. Good morning, please. I would love to know why students still write exam before getting their license after they have gone through the 4 years program. I am Lord from French Department. Merci beaucoup. Monsieur Lord.
98.3
Right.
FM.
You see, we go through the 4-year program of training to become teachers, and we are to go to the field of work. The system has set up the appropriate bodies to ensure that before someone is permitted to go to the classroom to handle the Ghanaian learner, he should be given the authority, he will be given the pass, he should be given the license. And per that, they will not just bank their hopes on whatever the student or the graduate or the applicant might have gone through for the 4-year training, but we'll have to ensure that yes, he has gone through the training, and per that he will be capable of handling the Ghanaian learner. So there is a little test to find out if in reality you have gone through the 4-year program, as you are saying. Someone can come out with a very good class, but might not have taken the actual professional work seriously. And per that, that body will not
FM.
permit you to
go
through the job
FM.
and practice as a teacher. But you have to learn, pass their set of questions, and if you are done with it, they'll give you a certificate to go to the classroom. It is everybody's wish that the moment you go through your graduate education, that's your university education, then the classroom is open to you. But there is that regulatory body to ensure that we get the best of all professional teachers in the classroom. Thank you very much. Someone is calling. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please, I'm Abigail Adebwaden from the Learning Department.
Yes, Abby, you are listening.
Okay. Please, I want to ask whether moral and guidance can also be teaching principles, as in how to guide the students, can also be part of the teaching principles as it's stated. Thank you.
I'm actually not getting you how to guide.
How
Right.
to guide the students.
Which students?
how-
The student in training, or the students that the trained teacher is going to teach?
Yes, how to guide the students. How the teacher
Right, thank
guides
you very
the
much.
students.
Okay, if I have understood you properly, whilst you are in the university or whilst one is undergoing studies at the university, every necessary guidance as to how to handle students in their classrooms, how to properly ensure that the learner gets the peace of mind to learn content and knowledge, and everything that the school environment is opened to that particular learner to go through. The one in training is giving all the requisite knowledge, skills, strategies to be able to do that. So the guidance, as you are talking about, yes, in training, the individual student is given the requisite guidance, and because he acquires that knowledge, when he goes to the field, he also knows how to handle the students in the classrooms and also guide them as to how to learn and learn properly. If that is the area you are talking about, then I think that is how it goes. So you learn everything at training or at the university, and you go out there to deliver it appropriately. And whilst there also, there are your superiors who also guide you as to do what is actually required. We have the conduct, the professional conduct or ethics, conduct of the ethical aspect of the work. You go through it, and those on the field are there to help you also, because you are in a profession. You cannot deviate from what the professional aspects require of you, you definitely have to conform to what is within the profession.
98.3 FM.
So there are supervisors. I think we have people, some officers that we call security supervisors. I think they have a new name, a very nice name, CISO. School Improvement Supervising Officers. They also guide the teachers while they are on the field and ensure that everything works well. We still at the studio.
98.3 FM.
We have calls coming or messages coming from Gladys Adi from School of Business, watching from North Campus. Dr. Law, watching from Ajumako Campus. Great work. Dr. Law, thank you very much.
98.
Right, we're still at Radio Windy Bay 050-392-3158. We have just about 5 minutes to part company.
98.3 FM.
Right. The studio lines are still opened and you can call or send your message. Right. So
98.
in wrapping up,
3 FM.
I'll say that yes, we have some key features that we look at when we want to consider a job, occupation, a vocation, or some work as a profession. And this, we are saying that include the fact that there should be a specialized body of knowledge that profession or the workers will have to go through. They have to go through formal professional training. They ought to be certificated and also might have a regulation. Someone ought to regulate that aspect. They ought to have a code of ethics. There should be a professional autonomy and judgment, and there should be an orientation in the service and continuous professional development. These are specified features of how we can classify an occupation, a job, work as a profession. And we realize that in teaching in Ghana, teaching
98.
is seen as,
3
or
FM.
teaching and specialized knowledge are acquired. We mentioned some aspects like the subject matter knowledge that we go through, the methodology or pedagogical knowledge. We also mentioned pedagogical content knowledge. So you should have the pedagogical knowledge and then have the pedagogical content knowledge. Talk about knowledge of learners and
3 FM.
learning, knowledge of curriculum. And all these areas help us to build ourselves as professionals. And we go through some professional training. Apart from learning content in other areas, we go through professional training. And the last caller maybe was asking something concerning how we can guide the moral training, the psychology, and other things. Yes, we do all these. We have departments in the School of Education and Lifelong Learning where we can talk of the Department for Educational Foundations, the courses that individual students learn from there, build them up for the classroom situation.
FM.
We also have a department that deals with counseling, psychology. So we go through psychology of learning. There is curriculum and instruction, assessment and evaluation, teaching practice. The School of Education and Lifelong Learning actually prepares individuals who are going through education training here. There is also a part that deals with the handling of the young ones, early childhood section. We have the basic education section. We also have special education section. And because we do our work cohesively, all students have knowledge concerning these specialized areas, and that prepares them fully for the classroom. There are regulations that we have to follow. Teaching is regulated by statutory bodies, as we have mentioned, and these statutory bodies are those that give the licenses. There are professional standards that all teachers will have to abide by. Code of ethics that are enforced at all times. And in all situations, we have continuous professional development, which also conform to the key characteristics or standards. The Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, we have it in teaching in Ghana. There is professional autonomy. Teachers make professional decisions every now and then. Sunday evening, you call a teacher and he's seriously preparing for Monday classes. So they select their teaching strategies, they know how to manage their classrooms, and of course, they know how to assess their learners' progress. And they adapt instruction to diverse needs of our learners because of the training that they have had. So, teaching as a service to society, Ghanaian teachers also render a very strong service to the nation as a whole, and they continuously ensure that they develop themselves in the professional line. Thank you very much for your audience. I think we will pause here and adjourn the lecture
98.3 FM.
Next week, same time, when we shall meet you on air. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well. So that is our very Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA. Remember, this has been for me legendary. There's been masterclass. You see, in life, if it must be done, it must be done absolutely well. We do offer heart for you, and on my own behalf and the team here, we give you a standing ovation. Right Honourable, for now. Remember, like he said, we're going to adjourn the session. So, we are in the space of judicial experience, no more like strict academia stuff. So that's Right Honourable Sir Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA. Therefore, like you mentioned, remember, this morning, beautifully masterminding that task. Wednesday, 21st January 2026, EDC 232, Principles and Practice of Teaching, with the topic, Teaching as a Profession. I've copiously taken my notes. Like I've said, you see, there is one thing staying in the lecture theater. I don't say you shouldn't stay in the lecture theater. I mean, the face-to-face interaction. There's another thing to do with the radio lecture series and all of that. And there's another one where you mandatorily, so to speak, go through the tunnel. And then when you sit back and hear the lecture being delivered again, the assimilation happens to be a different thing altogether. That's me, because I'm realigning, recalibrating, and getting to the core of my common sense this morning. So once again, God super bless you, Right Honourable Sir Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA from the Department of Educational Foundation, School of Education and Lifelong Learning. And let me say hi to you, Father from afar and near, Prof. Hene Kusi, founding dean of the School of Education and Lifelong Learning. It's got to do with the whole movement. So even as we take a break, let me remind ourselves of how things are taking shape. Remember, the World Economic Forum is still underway in Davos, Switzerland, where a lot more happens to be on as well. We've walked you through a few things emanating and stuff like that. But before maybe we wrap things up, don't forget, today happens to be the very day put together for a number of things around the globe. And it's a pleasure to tell you all of that as well. Let me quickly confer with a few things here. We were scheduled to have done an exclusive with Dr. Samuel Gameli Gajo, immediate past HOD of Accounting Department, School of Business, UAW. But as a result of the challenge we happen to be having, we'll have to reschedule this exclusive interview and then come through. But in between time, let me just run by you a few of the moments trending, a few of the moment trending and all of that. Like I told you, Ghana is a big part of the annual meeting 2026 for the ongoing World Economic Forum. It's about a number of launches that are expected to take place from January 8 through to January 23 as well. To carefully look at the matter come today. Yes. Charlie, like so, it trouble to me your poor crying tea. I will name me Anna Lexo Alexander the Great Emperor. Sure. See you today, 21st January. Today, 21st January, in Davos, Switzerland. I hope you want to go to Switzerland. Yes. Tell our friend Alexandria. Madame Lucy, also a journal said to we'll go there, sure.
I've been there before.
Tell Alex, sure. So that was one of our production assistants. The young man who took us to Facebook this morning, that is Alexander Amonu. So we're having the launch of Food Innovation Hub Ghana. Fosua, okay, Ikoja, Right Honorable Sir Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA Metase, Baiben is in the house, and then I should say, today we're having the launch of the Food Innovation Hub Ghana as part of the annual meeting 2026 launches. Remember, like I told you, yesterday we had a number of things coming through, like the MOU with CO Water Mandate WRC, and then we had the Rethinking Artificial Intelligence Sovereignty Pathways to Success through Strategic Investment. And then we also had the Women's Health Investment Outlook, 6% of funding for nearly 50% of the population, not just a gap, but untapped white space. But today, we're having the launch of the Food Innovation Hub Ghana. So our nation, our motherland Ghana, is at the front row. And don't forget, Ghana's delegation is led by, with our politics second time for this production, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the rest of his delegation as well. Whatever happens in the course of time, in the womb of time, a production team like, well oiled, beyond the German machinery, led by Collins Kofi Oku, will be back. We'll tell you how the launch of the Food Innovation Hub Ghana did go at the ongoing World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. On the score of that, I say many thanks for having bought the ticket to be part of the radio lecture this very morning, which was expertly masterminded by Right Honorable Sir Eric OFOSU-DWAMENA from the School of Education and Lifelong Learning, the very space of UEW, School of Education and Lifelong Learning, UEW. So later today, based on the itinerary given to us by the academic board led by Mama One, Prof. Esther Yabua Dansuredu, who superintends of everything academics for UEW. She, together with a hardworking team, have told us to give coverage to the second one for this day. That is Wednesday, 21st January 2026. So between 5:30 p.m. and 7 p.m., let's get ready to have Dr. John Nyelbi from the Department of Counseling Psychology, that's Faculty of Applied Behavioral Sciences and Education, UW, as he makes a presentation on to all of us 300 students who are studying the course EDC 351, Introduction to Guidance and Counseling in Education, and the topic will be the historical development of the guidance movement. Don't forget to fast forward on a futuristic note. Saturday, 22nd January 2026, around the same time, we are expecting Dr. Simon Intumi from the Department of Educational Foundation, School of Education and Lifelong Learning, to do the job with regards the one for all of our 300 students. That's the course EDC 361, Measurement, Evaluation and Statistics in Education. And the topic will be understanding key concepts in assessment. And then, like the sages of old do say, the best is absolutely always reserved for the last. But to add to this one, communication skills was the first one that did the whole on your marks, ready, pay or go by radio lecture series here at Radio Windy Bay. So we'll be going to the Titi Atempon. That's Dr. Na Koko Watson and a team. And we're having in the house second time within a space of under 14 days. One of the, giants when public relations in this country and with continental reverberation comes to mind. Mr. Asari Okai Anti, Mr. Asari Okai Anti, School of Communication and Media Studies, UEW, will be making a presentation on to all of our 100 students who are studying the course GPD 111, Communication Skills, with the topic Academic Discourse 2. So for those of us who didn't really have the whole score for last week, we had to come to the lecture hall early. I mean, virtually on radio and online on air as well, to glean everything from Mr. Asari Okai Anti, who'll be speaking to the matter Academic Discourse 2. Yes, we need to engage in discourses and become a lot more enlightened to contribute our quota to the development of our society. So that is for Friday, 23rd January 2026. And don't forget, as part of the whole interactivity, studio line 0503923158 will be activated during the radio lecture to accommodate your contributions. You can also come through via WhatsApp or SMS, like they say, or text on the other side, 0503923158. You can also join the radio lecture on Facebook, like we had a number of comments coming through this morning. And big ups to all those that contributed to the PMP radio lecture. It's Facebook, Radio Windy Bay 98.2 FM. Facebook, Radio Windy Bay 98.2 FM. You can also follow the live streaming on our All Embracing On page on www.uew.edu.gh. Alternatively, join the radio lecture series via Zoom with ID 649-1213-5297. Zoom ID, remember Zoom with ID 649-1213-5297. And with the passcode, I mean the key to unlock the door so you can have all the goodies. Passcode lowercase RWB. So even as we take a break for now and hopefully come back in the course of the day, this has been our online transmission for the coverage of the radio lecture series. To my friends, I mean those in the north, from the south, from the east and west, we do this together. You know yourselves. I mean, it will not be long by the special grace of God. I'm super grateful to be on the stage to do what I would want to do. According to William Shakespeare, life is that very common denominator. But here in our studios, I did this, pricelessly, memorably, with an incredible team. Executive producer is Collins Kofi Ewuku. Papa Francis and I do the job between Monday and then Friday as well. That's Francis Styles Bowley. And then with a multimedia team, Charlie Ebenezer Ashite is in the house. Charlie Eben is in the house. Elizabeth Fosua is also in the house. And then, Lexo, Charlie, you've won my heart one more time. And this, Charlie, we know empirical evidence, what's BBD portfolio? Mewa. Fakaho. Now quite A straight away for internship at UW. Alexander Amonu, remember, final year student from the Graphic Design Department School of Creative Arts, University of Education, Winnipeg. And on behalf of Papa Osman Mimini, the head of our multimedia team as well, the likes of Ebi Gani, Charlie Ebi. That is why I call it with your opinion. You day pan. Super grateful to you, to the whole team. To the whole family, Radio Winnipeg 98.3 FM. This is our calling. My name is Bright Kujofuga. I say what I pray. Say one for 98.3 FM, one for the University of Education Winnipeg, one for the great state of OFOSU, because I call this place the center of planet S. I say one for our region central, and then one also for our dear Republic Ghana. Not to forget one for that is the sub-region of West Africa, one for the continent Africa and the world alike. Not to forget today very much, because we are anchored by Elohim, the I Am, one for the entirety of the universe, because with God, with God, everything is possible. To God be the eternal glory.